Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we've got an anonymous guy. We call him Bob as usual. And he's going to tell us some stories about his experience in Singapore and Dubai and things like that. So nice to have you here today, Bob.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So just to recap, you were telling us about what it's like in
Singapore, Beijing. I think that those places, in general, I think you can generalize that. Mm-hmm. So if you ever find yourself in a club in Singapore, in Shanghai or Beijing, you can play a very fun game. And that game is called Beggar or Billionaire. Because if you go into a club, you have basically three types of people. You have your basic clubber who's like in the UK, goes out, wants to have a good time, hits on 10 women, gets rejected by 9.5 or 10, and goes home sad and drunk. Then you have, the posh business guys, slick back hair, feeling themselves really cool, standing at the bar, thinking they're big shots. But then you have really the unique type. And that's the guy who walks into a club, and even the bouncer is not sure what's going to happen now. Because either it's a homeless guy looking for a place to sleep, or he's actually a billionaire. And what happens is you have this guy walking in flip-flops, khaki shorts, like a t-shirt which is 3 days old, and that's actually true. And then they just go out on a table, alone, because they're never with anyone else, and they splash out for 10 bottles, just randomly. He's never going to drink it all, but he just sits down on the table, gets his 10 bottles, and then all of a sudden, that is your magnet. So
women just...
Oh, yeah. The women just flock towards him. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch. And the thing is that these places like Singapore, Shanghai, they've perfected this because this is their business model. So what they do essentially is if you're a student and you're very energetic, you want to party, you get into the club for free and you get free drinks. So if you go to a club...
Free drinks all night?
Yeah, free drinks all night. So I can even name you a place. It's called V+ in Beijing.
Regardless of your gender?
Really good fun. Yes, regardless of your gender. It helps if you're from the Western Hemisphere because, they want to have something exotic. Like it's more fun, especially in a place like Beijing where there are not a lot of Westerners. They like to get them into the club, and particularly they mostly get more shit-faced and party more. So, the business model is those people get in for free. They get free drinks all night. And the key is to get them hammered on the dance floor and just having a good vibe in the club. Then you actually have those tables where there are very beautiful girls, and these are not prostitutes. These are, I would say, entertainment girls. So they're not obliged to do anything. I don't know if you can buy them. I think that's up to the individual. Mm-hmm. But essentially, if you go to a club as a businessman in your 40s and you're lonely, you're bored, you can just go there. And as soon as you get 2 bottles, I guess a bottle is priced around 200 to 300 pounds, you can sit down there, and then you'll have 10 girls at your table who just sit next to you, have a little bit of small chat, they'll drink your drinks, you'll sit there, have a good time, and basically enjoy the vibe. And this is an actual business model. They've perfected this. And I think they actually make a lot of money out of that.
Alright. The only thing I'm thinking, so the Westerners or people get in for free.
Yeah.
Then there's other guys who don't, if you're on your own.
Yes.
So you only get into free if you're young or Western or you're coming as a couple or a group of people.
Exactly.
So once they're in and partying, people think, oh, all the Westerners are here, it's a cool place to be.
Exactly.
And then you get the businessman who will come there.
Yeah.
And he will have to pay to get in.
I'm not sure if he actually has to pay, but the situation usually is that they pay because they have the money to, just buy a table and sit down and basically be comfortable. And I mean, if you go alone into a club, usually it's a little bit awkward, right? Mm-hmm. So that whole concept of if you buy a table, you'll have 10 beautiful women next to you, and all the drunk students will just look at you in envy, want to be your friends, sit down at your table, have fun. That's the way. That's the dynamic of the club, essentially.
Okay. So you were talking about Dubai. How's Dubai? Is Dubai different to that?
Dubai is a little bit different because in Dubai, drinking in general is way more expensive because people usually don't drink, so you can just go to hotel bars or to hotel clubs, and there you do have to spend money, and the guy-girl ratio is abysmal. Like 9 guys, one girl, essentially.
Really?
Yes. So clubbing in Dubai.
When I saw in Dubai, I saw there was a street I was walking down one time, and there's just loads of working girls on the street.
That's true.
So they don't even get into the clubs.
They do. Like, okay, prostitution is illegal in Dubai. That's first and foremost. So it's actually very hard to distinguish a working girl from someone who's just out having a good time. Because usually what would happen is they would give you their phone number, their WhatsApp, and then they would text you the next day like, hey, do you want to meet up again? And, you know, by the way, this is sort of what I'm expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But meeting a regular girl in the club who's not Western, so you have, of course, again, the students and, I don't know, young professionals going there, is very, very rare. Like, you will not have an Emirati woman being at the club partying.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because of impressions. But then I heard the Saudis, people come from Saudi to party in Dubai.
That's true.
But, and they dress Western when they do.
That's also true, yeah. So that has two. So you know the traditional clothing from Saudi. So the white gown, right, which the guys wear.
Yeah.
It's like it's their form of a suit, and essentially when they wear that, they represent the country. So it's a very serious thing. So as a foreigner, don't wear that. First of all, because it's a massive disrespect for them.
Yeah.
The second thing is that they're very conscious of their behavior when they're wearing their white gown. But if they dress Western, then it's sort of like their free time clothing, and they can go and party and do whatever. And I mean Saudi is more strict than Emirates, right? Yeah. So there you don't have any alcohol in any clubs.
Okay, so they really let loose when they go to Dubai.
Yes, they do.
Because I heard someone say Dubai is the Arabs' playboy city or something like that.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's very accurate.
How long did you live over there for?
Just for spots. So in Dubai I lived for 3 months, essentially, but in China I lived for 12 years.
Okay. So you've done some time then.
Yeah, it was good fun. Like it's a great place to be.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Mm-hmm. What would be your advice to somebody who's considering living in Dubai or China as a Westerner?
Ooh, it's very. I think I don't know if necessarily it's an advice, but
or guidance.
Yeah, have a lot of. So I think when you first arrive, it's very easy to feel like a celebrity, especially if you don't go to like Hong Kong, which is a very international city. I mean, Dubai, it's very easy to feel basically like you're on top of the world. And a lot of people, what I see is they forget that they're not local, and they start disrespecting the locals or fucking around with whatever, like picking fights or something like that.
Is it?
You do see that sometimes, or just being very arrogant in general. And that physical fights or just verbal? Physical fights as well. Like physical fights, don't do that in Dubai. Like you'll land in jail and never get out.
And you'll probably get beaten as well.
That as well. And China, I mean, they're racist. Full stop.
Oh, is it?
If you have a verbal argument with a Chinese guy, and the police comes, he'll just tell them in Chinese whatever he thinks is right, and they'll just take you off. So you will have a great time there. You can make lots of friends. People are super friendly in general, but don't keep your feet on the ground. You're not the king of the world.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's you're not the king of the world. That's words of wisdom there. Okay, that's good. Mm-hmm. I'm actually lost for words for once in the interview. But thanks a lot for that.
It's
very interesting.
Very happy.
Where are you next going to be going? You going to be going anywhere?
I'd love to stay in London.
He loves to say it. What do you love? Yeah, that's what I should ask you. What do you love about London in comparison to the other cities?
London has culture. Like, London...
varied.
Yeah, like, if you go to... So a lot of these cities are very new, right? They're new, big metropolitan cities. London has been around for ages. So you have, as you said, you have diversity, you have tons of different districts which all have their own vibe. And it's not very monoculture, which is just fantastic. Like, you can have a lot of fun here. Depending if you go to Shoreditch or if you go to South London or whatever, you always have a different vibe. And there's so much to explore. And that's what makes the city great, in my opinion.
Okay. But you wouldn't be going back to to China, Hong Kong thing?
Given the current political situation there, I would prefer not to.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. But where's... when you say political situation, in what sense?
Well, without taking a side in anything here, I think it's very difficult right now. If you follow the news, there's a lot of tension, especially around Hong Kong, whether it's independent or whether it should be fully integrated into China. So you had a lot of protests going on, and the city is changing quite a bit. And I think the entire region right now is like changing quite a bit. So I'd rather wait a couple of years and see how it plays out, and then decide if I would want to go back or not.
Okay, that's good. Well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.